Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as we look at who is on the Erik ten Hag and Ralf Rangnick transfer list. The ins and the outs. We know 11 players are on the list to leave the club. We'll be talking about those and the 4 or 5 that are on the list to come in. Big news around that and very interested to get your thoughts. Also, very interesting comments from Steve McLaren, soon to be part of the Erik ten Hag management team. Some really interesting comments from him a couple of months ago on this current United side that will make it very difficult for him to come out with different opinions. We'll talk about those, certainly around issues in the dressing room, which are going to be very, very interesting. Plus, it's Friday night, a little bit more chilled, so we will be taking some of your questions on the Q&A as well. So lots to get into. But before we get into all that, it is Friday night. Welcome to the Members Club, Tim. We're sponsored by Spitch. I mentioned this on the show this morning, and make sure you play Spitch this weekend. It's the final weekend of the Premier League on Sunday, and you can play Spitch. Spitch is a fantasy football manager app that lets you build your own team to win points and take on other managers on the game, including me. It's available on iOS and Android, and it's free to download in the UK. It's based around weekly competition, so you don't have to worry about the season already started. In fact, you can just play it as a contained game on Sunday. Everyone will be on 0 points. You compete with the team that you pick, accumulating your points against everybody else. And obviously, if you win, you can win cash prizes and prizes just by downloading the link in the description. You must be over 18. Terms and conditions do apply. But also make sure to join the United Stand community page on Spitch as well, because that's where you can play against me and other United Stand community members. We have a prize of £50 voucher, in fact, that you can win to spend in our United Stand merch shop. Plus, the big thing is, can you beat me? You can't put a price on that. It's priceless if you can do that. So links are in the description. If you want to be a chance to be part of the community on Spitch, then hit the link in the description. Come and join us. As I said, you've got to be over 18 and to play, and terms and conditions apply. Give it a go. It's going to be exciting enough this last Premier League weekend, with added excitement if you're going to play Spitch as well. And of course, as ever, you can hold your phone up with your camera on, and you can scan the QR code, which will take you straight to that as well. So big shout out to Spitch. Make sure you play it this weekend. Welcome to the Members Club, Leo, Jay and KP. And Daniel Kirk with an early super chat says, Fabrizio said in an interview that Timber would cost 55 to 60 million euros. Would you do it? Look, Daniel, it's not the headline. So, but it's a Friday night and structure. It's about the structure of the show, but it's not about the structure of the show on a Friday night. So look, let's hit Daniel's comment straight away. There is absolutely no way, in my opinion, we are going to pay 60 million euros for Timber. I don't know where Fabrizio's getting that information from, and I wouldn't normally say I don't think it's true, but as with anything, you can't just respect somebody and go along with their opinion all the time. I don't agree with that. I really don't. I think the information we had at the start of the week, the information is that Ajax want about 35 million and Manchester United want to pay about 25 million. That's 40 million euros or 30 million euros. So where 60 million euros is coming from, I don't know. Plus it's Ajax. So look, if he's right, he's right, but I personally don't think he is. Hi Mark, did you hear Manchester Evening News saying Erik ten Hag cancels Manchester United pre-season friendly? Any truth on that? It says Man United, I don't know anything about that. Man United 1999. Joseph Starr and Brendan, welcome to the Members Club. And Lars says, have you seen Erik ten Hag quotes on United District? Says Lars. I have done, but I mean, we can go into them in a little bit, but I'm not really that interested in about it. I'd rather talk about what Steve McLaren said and the transfer ins and outs. And Gareth Summer, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. And also to I'm Nasty. If you are a new member, make sure you check out the video we've loaded up today exclusively for the members. It's Timber against Torres. Lots of people have been giving feedback on that video. They really enjoyed it, so make sure you check it out. Right, let's get into the topics of the show, because I'm sure we can get into lots of questions in a little bit. So, Erik ten Hag and Ralf Rangnick's transfer ins and outs. Who's on the list? Who's not on the list? Who are we looking to bring into the club? Now, I'll be going to honestly straight away. I did speak to somebody about this afternoon, and I cannot tell you who the right back's going to be, and I cannot tell you who the second midfielder is going to be. I can speculate, but apart from that, I can pretty much tell you who the striker's going to be, who the centre back's going to be, who the midfielder's going to be, and who the 11 players are that United are looking to offload. Effectively, if we start off with the 11 players that are going to leave. And look, nothing is completely set in stone. Some of these may end up staying, but I think the vast majority are certainly, well, they're on the transfer list. You can I'm actually going to do it as a team. I was thinking about it before I went live. It actually is a team. So you know, it's amazing when you think about it. 11 players to leave United, and you could actually field it as a team in the Premier League, and it probably wouldn't get relegated. So Dean Henderson, he's up for sale. Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back, he's up for sale. Jones and Bailly, centre backs, they're up for sale. Brandon Williams at left back, he's up for sale. Pogba, Matic and Mata, they're all leaving. Lingard off the right, leaving. Cavani off the left, leaving. And Martial up front, up for sale. So that they are the 11 players. That's basically a starting 11. So anything beyond that, whether you want Marcus Rashford to go, or Scott McTominay to go, or Bruno Fernandes to go, or Harry Maguire to go, the reality is they're not going anywhere this summer because there are 11 players that United are looking to shift already. Basically a team of first team squad players, apart from maybe Brandon Williams. I mean, Brandon Williams has been on loan. He's not been part of the first team for over a year. And I don't think he'll be part of the first team for Erik ten Hag. So, I mean, effectively, it's 10 players from the squad plus Brandon Williams. Plus probably Andreas Pereira as well. So that would be 12. But I don't massively count Brandon Williams and Pereira because they've not been part of the squad this season. But you can see why we're not going to be looking to move a Telles or a Maguire or a Lindelof or a McTominay or a Rashford this summer, because we are going to be getting rid of so many players. Ginger Red, thank you very much for becoming a member, and also Kazim. So what are your thoughts on that? Callum's a member now. Welcome, Callum. Kyle Marr says it's good to get rid of those. So yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of us could predict who was in that 11 anyway. Well, I always said 10. As I said, Brandon Williams makes it 11. I suppose Pereira makes it 12. I doubt there'll be any more than that. I certainly think that when I was given that list this afternoon, I was like, okay, Henderson we heard about yesterday. Williams we've heard about this morning. Bailly and Jones we knew about. Wan-Bissaka we heard about in the last few days. Matic, Mata and Pogba we knew about. Lingard and Cavani we knew about. And Martial's logical. So it's not really breaking news in some ways. It's slow sports news. But when you do look at it like I was just before we went live, I wrote the team down and I was like, hold on a minute, can I make a team out of this? And I can. There's a goalkeeper, a right back, a left back, 2 centre backs, 3 midfielders, 2 players who can play wide, and a striker. So we're effectively getting rid of a team, and I think that's a real positive. American Deuce, thank you very much for joining the members club. And yeah, so I don't know what people think about that. I think it's a positive. I do think that there are other players that Rangnick's going to speak to Ten Hag about and say, I don't know whether these are the right players for you, but you might just have to put up with it. I don't think there's a sacrificial lamb there, which I've said before. And what I mean by a sacrificial lamb is a player that you go, wow, you know, if we got rid of a Rashford, or we got rid of a Luke Shaw or a Harry Maguire or a Bruno Fernandes or a Ronaldo, then you would go, oh my God, that's really shocking. But I think we should be doing one of those, but I don't think we can because of the volume of players that we've got to get rid of. I would say that this United job under Erik ten Hag, it's not about this summer. It's about this summer, next summer and the summer after that. There are a lot of players that need to leave that club. My prediction is that next season, I'll give you a few names here, and I hope I'm wrong. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Fred, Telles, Rashford, that's 5, and maybe Dalot, Bruno, Van der Beek, so that's 8. Out of those 8 players, I think 3 or 4 of them will end up being so much on the bench next season that they'll go the next summer. That's my prediction, and I'm comfortable with that. I think there are people in the fan base that want to see a Maguire sold, or a Rashford sold, or a Bruno sold, or whoever. But I don't think this summer's about that. Much the same as I think the goalkeeper situation may be an issue in a year or 2, but it's not an issue now because we've got to solve other things. So look, I'm not dismissive of the fact that there are players that are going to be part of that team next year that don't really deserve to be. But when you look at the 11 players we need to move on, you really can't be then moving on another 3 or 4, even though they deserve to go. So we're looking at a 2-year plan in relation to, let's get rid of the immediate problems or the players that are out of contract. Let's see if we can do anything with the other players, and if we can't, we move them out next summer, which I'm happy with. If you count all the players who could be sold this summer, how much do you think the club could add to the transfer budget, says Stephen? If push comes to shove, would you get Timber for 50 to 60 million euros or look elsewhere, says Ethan? I wouldn't spend that much, no. I wouldn't spend that much. He's 20 years of age, playing in the Dutch league. I'm not paying 50, 60 million pounds for him, so no. Timber would be such an exciting, progressive acquisition. His aggressive tackling and football intelligence will win the fans over. I'm really excited about him, Addy. I mean, look, as I said, if you're a member, check out the member video that we uploaded today because it will open your eyes. I mean, I knew a little bit about Timber. I didn't realise some of the things that he's good at when you compare him to a Torres and a Varane and a Maguire. Some of the things he's good at is just really exciting. So yeah, I am excited about him, but I wouldn't pay any more than 35 million. We've had somebody gift some subs here. Stuart Haffenden, you're putting me on the spot, Stuart. I think I'll have to gift some memberships in a minute. Stuart's a legend. He's gifted 5 members a membership, so you can check out that video. I'm going to do some anyway, really. But thank you, Stuart. You're a legend for that. How much money do we think we'd get from that before we talk about the ins that Rangnick and Ten Hag are looking at? So, Henderson, 30 million. Wan-Bissaka, I think, will go on loan. Or, yeah, I think, yeah, let's look at it realistically. So, Henderson, 30 million, at least. Wan-Bissaka, I think, will go on loan. Jones and Bay, 20 million between them. And Brandon Williams, 15. So, if you sell, you got about 35, 65 million just from that back four. I mean, if you can get 25 for Wan-Bissaka, that's 85 million. Nothing for Matic, Mata and Pogba, of course, because they'll be going for free. And what's it say? Oh, yeah. And, of course, Martial maybe 30, Cavani and Lingard nothing. So you could raise anywhere between 60 and 100 million from those 11 players, which if you add it to the 125 million, that is absolutely fantastic. So, you know, let's wait and see what happens with it. Welcome to the Members Club, Jort. So we're going to talk about the players that are on the list to come in. Of course, Henderson could go on loan, which would drop it down a bit, but I expect us to raise 50 million. We've got 125 million pounds to spend. I expect us to raise 50. We could raise 75, and then you've got 200. The more we raise, the more we can spend, basically. Anyone else excited to see Ten Hag's first official interview? Says Ian. I think that his first official interview will be next week. I've sort of been told that it's going to be next week by quite a few people, so I think it will be next week that it actually happens, but we'll wait and see on that. Can I just say as well, bit of good news. I'd love to see people in the chat saying congratulations to them as well. They've had a baby daughter today, watchers of the channel, Katie and Paul. Congratulations, fantastic news, and a welcome addition to the family to join little Hugo. So good news, really pleased for you, and congratulations. Fantastic news on a Friday night. Enjoy your weekend with your little addition. And probably after the last game will we get the Ten Hag interview, says Usman there. And Marvin says Glazer's tax will take 20 million from it. Well, actually, Marvin, you're probably correct. Lots of people saying congratulations there, which is lovely to see in the chat. Thank you for everybody. Always nice to get some nice community support there. Hi, Mark. Thoughts on our loan players that will be coming back? Would players like Twansebi, Diallo and Palestra be good at the senior squad? Says Jose. Remind me to talk about that in a minute, Jose, because I do want to talk about your questions. As Marvin said there, I think if we've got £125 million to spend and we raise 75 million, I wouldn't be surprised if the club said you can have 50 from the 75. Let's be realistic. If we raise money from sales, will it all come back? And also, the hidden money that's there, we are going to raise about £40 million from the wages of Cavani, Lingard, Pogba, Matic and Mata. 40 million quid is going to be raised from those wages. So, look, those wages will then go on new signings as well, I admit that, but we'll have to wait and see how that works out. So, let's talk about incomings then. We've spoken about the 11 players that are on the outgoings list for Ten Hag and Rangnick when they have this discussion, which, you know, they probably already have because some players are already being put on the list. The incomings is a little bit shorter. There's 5 players that United are looking at the moment. A forward, 2 midfielders, a centre-back and a right-back is definitely on the list now. Brandon Williams is on the transfer list. I mean, where Brandon Williams fits in, he wants to be a left-back, so he's not really a right-back, but he could fill in at a right-back. Wan-Bissaka is surplus to requirements. So we've only got Delo at right-back, unless we promote Ethan Laird or somebody from the youth team, which is very, very risky. we are looking to buy a right back. Now, some people think that Timber's going to be a right back. He's not. Phil Jones and Eric Bailly are leaving. That would leave us with 3 centre-backs and 1 right-back if Wan-Bissaka goes. We're not going to just bring Timber and say you can be the 4th centre-back and the full-back. He is going to be a centre-back and we are going to buy a right-back. Well, we're going to try and buy a right-back. What is United's budget? Started at 170 million, now you say 125 million, says Vinit. Vinit, I don't know where you've been, but you've not been watching many shows recently, which is frustrating for the community, I'm sure, because it feels like we're doing an episode of UK Gold, having to do repeats. The budget is 125 million. If we raise money, it goes up. So 125 million is there to be spent for Erik ten Hag. If he wants to spend more than that, he's got to sell players. So the last 10 minutes, when we've been talking about 11 players for sale and how much they'd be worth, that's how you get up to 175 million. Splats, welcome to the Members Club. So the players that we are looking at, I can tell you, are this. We'll start with the striker because it's the most interesting. Man United have 3 priorities in the striking position. The club like Richarlison. Richarlison is a player that United have scouted and have recommended to Erik ten Hag. So he is a consideration and he has been scouted by the club. Now my thoughts on that are, I'm not surprised. The club are locked in on Premier League experience and we have been for 9 years. I know we've bought players outside of the Premier League, but we love a player from the Premier League. So Richarlison is a player that United have scouted and they've recommended to Erik ten Hag. Nunez is a player that Manchester United have scouted, that Ralf Rangnick likes and Erik ten Hag likes. So Darwin Nunez ticks all the boxes from the club, from Erik ten Hag and from Ralf Rangnick. They all like Darwin Nunez, but there is a fear that they will get priced out of the market, or the real truth, they can't win the competition, they can't win the race for Darwin Nunez. The third option is Nkunku, which the club hadn't really even been looking at. Rangnick loves, and Ten Hag needs to be persuaded. So that's where United are at the moment. Richarlison, Nunez or Nkunku. Now it doesn't mean that we will buy one of those. They're all difficult in their own way. But Richarlison is the club's and Ten Hag needs to decide. Nunez everybody likes, but is difficult. And Nkunku is Rangnick's, not the club's, but Ten Hag could authorise it. So, and of course price comes into it. Nkunku might be 80 million. Darwin Nunez might be 70 million. Richarlison might be 60 million. So, yeah, all that comes into it, but they are the 3 main priority attacking options. At the moment. Any thoughts on Trapp from Frankfurt as a possible replacement for De Gea when he leaves, says Affiliation? I mean, look, I like... look, in relation to goalkeepers, if somebody said to me tomorrow that David De Gea is retiring in a year, he should be our goalkeeper next year. He's been Player of the Year for me. So David De Gea should be our goalkeeper next year. But if David De Gea said, in a year's time, I'm leaving, I'm not signing a new contract, obviously United would try and sell him this year to get some money. But let's pretend United were happy with that. 1 more year and then you go. Who would I be looking to be the reserve the goalkeeper to take over from him? This is where my issue with Henderson has always been. I don't think he's good enough to be Man United's number 1. I never have. I never saw him as a worthy player to take De Gea's place. I might be completely wrong on that. But if we were going to replace De Gea or look for a replacement, I would have always been looking to bring a player in. Now, I like the look of that Sanchez at Brighton. I actually quite like the Brentford goalkeeper. I think his distribution's fantastic. I like Milan's goalkeeper. Is it? I can never pronounce his name. Magnon. I like him as well. There's some really good goalkeepers out there, and I think United should be looking for that sort of a goalkeeper. But of course, it's very difficult to bring a goalkeeper in and have them alongside De Gea while De Gea's here. United did it for years. We always had these keepers like Ben Foster and Tim Howard and Ray Carroll and Thomas Kuszczak, wasn't it? They were happy to hardly ever play and just sit on the bench, and we went wrong with the Dean Henderson thing. Love to know what we will save weekly on salaries. This is Kevin Brady. About 40 million. With all these changes in the club, do you think the owners have changed, or have they realised they need to do some damage limitations, as Anshman? We're going to find out, mate. I'm intrigued to find out, to be honest with you. So, let's just move through the ins that Ten Hag and Rangnick and the club are looking at. So, the strikers, as I've said, Richarlison, Nunez and Nkunku. My choice would be Nkunku or Darwin Nunez. The midfield option, De Jong, we know that. De Jong is the number one choice. Ten Hag absolutely wants this player and will overrule the club and RANGNICK on anything that they say. Again, doesn't mean we're going to get him, but Erik Ten Hag absolutely wants him. The other midfield option, I've got no idea. I mean, from Lema to Calvin Phillips, from Ruben Neves to Declan Rice, from, you could go anywhere with this. I've got absolutely no idea who the second midfield option is. I believe there is a second midfield option, and it is very exciting to think that we don't know who it is at the moment. But United do want two midfielders, and they do need two midfielders. But the interesting thing is, if we don't get De Jong, where do we go? I think at the moment, the midfield is clearly the priority position. We want two, and we don't know who it's going to be. And I can't give you that at the moment, other than who De Jong is. The centre-back is Timber. We know that. It is Timber. He's the most advanced. Martin Fleming, welcome to the Members Club. Timber's the most advanced. There is interest in Torres. There is interest, or has been interest, in others. Akanji was somebody that was never really going to happen. He was heavily being looked back in February, but we didn't know who the manager was going to be then. So Timber is definitely that person. And then the right back, we want a right back. It's not coming from the Simon Stones and the Laurie Whitwells and the James Duckers and the Romanos yet, but United do want a right back. I don't know why this is not being reported more widespread, because they do. They're desperately trying to get a right back in. The belief in the club is that Luke Shaw must be given an opportunity next season to rediscover his form of last year, and that he can play in an Erik Ten Hag system, or at least do a job for a year until they can get somebody they want in. But at right back, they don't really have the confidence in what they've got. Dalot has some potential and would probably start the season as the preferred right back option. But they want to bring a right back in, and when I say they, Ralf Rangnick and more importantly Erik Ten Hag wants to bring a right back in that can compete with Dalot, that is a younger profile fullback that can give competition to Dalot and maybe even dislodge Dalot, but fits into the way that Erik Ten Hag wants to play. I don't know who it's going to be. I know who I'd like it to be. I think to mention Spence is probably a little bit sensational. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but I don't know whether United would go for someone like that. Tariq Lamptey is very interesting, but I think Brighton would want a lot of money, considering they got £50 million for Ben White. I would expect United will probably go for a fullback on the continent, i.e. out of the Premier League, in which case you open up lots of options. I mean, Dumfries will be a player that United really do like, and there's no doubt that Erik Ten Hag likes, but he's only just moved to Inter Milan a year ago, and unless Inter Milan are desperate for money, he's going to cost you in excess of 35-40 million. I think United are going to be looking for a fullback who is around 20 million that can compete with Dalot. So they'll be looking for a younger profile, an up-and-coming player. For me, in the Premier League, well, he's not even in the Premier League, I think Spence would be perfect, but I don't know whether United would go for that, because it's a big jump, isn't it, to come into the Premier League and be competing for a spot at right back for Manchester United. But yeah, they are going to look at a right back. If we were smart, we'd go for Phillips for 25 million, Lema 25 million, Timber 30 million, Spence 20 million, Ericsson free, and Nkunku over Nunez because of his versatility, says Bradley Clout. Welcome to the Members Club, Tarito. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. 11 players, we know the names of those. Will all 11 go? I'd be amazed if 11 of them went, but I certainly think 9 of them will go. And on incomings, look, no one's going to know a definitive list of the incomings that are coming in, but the striking information I got is interesting, and I think it's accurate. The club, Richarlison, Nunez, all three, Nkunku, Rangnick, and Ten Hag's got to make a decision. Midfield, obviously he wants De Jong. Who's the second midfielder? I don't know. Who's the player that we go for if we don't get De Jong? I don't know. Centre-back is Timber. There are other options, of course. Torres has been mentioned. Full-back, don't know who. Don't know. We want a right-back. Don't know who it's going to be, but they'll be looking for somebody around 20, 25 million. So it's going to be very interesting to see, very exciting to see, but these are the conversations that are happening already, and the face-to-face conversations will be taking place on Monday. And I expect things to start moving quickly because, as I said earlier in the week, United are on board with... This first summer is so important for United. I think the second summer of Van Gaal and Mourinho and Ollie. It's not fresh, is it? You know, when you appoint a manager, the relationship's fresh. It's like a marriage. When you first get married, you're at it every night. After a couple of years, it might not be like that. After 3 years, you know, you just go to sleep. Maybe. I don't know. But the reality is the excitement's there at the start of a relationship in a management sense. And I think that the conversations that Ten Hag has had with the club will be fresh in the minds of everybody from the interview. This is what we need to do. We need to go out and get this. Oh, I love the idea of that, Eric. Oh, yeah, we're going to go out every night together. Thursday night's going to be cinema night. Friday night down the pub. Saturday night we'll have a house party. Yeah, we'll do it every week. And before the relationship becomes old and they start to let things slip, this summer's so important. Ten Hag will be like, I want these players in, I want them in by the end of June, I want these players out, I want them out by the end of June, I want everybody to be in by the time we start training because this will help me in my first season. And the club will be like, yeah, we're on board with that. So this summer has to be absolutely spot on, and I think United will try their best. Do you think Chong and Garner will get a chance to play next year, or if they are back, says Tashi? I'm just going to talk about that now, actually. And on that, Mark, if you had to choose between Phillips and Lema for 25 million, who would you choose and why? Two very different players, Bradley. Lema is not really a defensive midfielder. He plays in a midfield too, but he's not really defensive-minded. Calvin Phillips is more defensive-minded. So, to be honest with you, if you want to play De Jong and Lema, defensively, there is a bit of an issue there. Phillips would work better with Lema and Phillips would work better with De Jong. So I don't think Phillips is possible. I don't think it is. I was always surprised by the story that we were in for Phillips, because to be in with Phillips, you've got to have encouragement that he wants to come. You can't just put a story out there saying United are interested in Calvin Phillips. You know, you can't do that. It's like Ricky saying he's interested in Margot Robbie. She's never, well, you never know, she might love Matic. You know, he could woo her with chats about, I'm telling you now, Martial's brilliant, Margot. But the reality is, just because United are interested in Phillips, he might be like, up yours, I'm from Leeds. But the fact that this story had legs makes me think, well, there must have been some encouragement from his side. But I don't see how. I don't think Phillips would come to United. So, yeah, I probably would go for Lema over Phillips, but whether he could work alongside... I mean, I think Fred will be given an opportunity, to be honest, as well, but there's plenty of games. I would love Ten Hag to greenlight RANGNICK to go get 8 high-ceiling players for 20 million and a couple of free agents, says Addy. And Mark, if you have doubts about Garner at this level, won't Spence bear the same risks, says Michael? I don't have doubts about Garner. I just don't think that throwing him into the midfield, having never played in the Premier League, is a good idea in such a critical season. And of course, playing at right back or playing up front is very different to playing midfield. Midfield is you get exposed in the midfield. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. So it's a bit different to bringing in Spence, who wouldn't necessarily start as our right back. He'd be there to compete with Delot. I mean, if we did bring a Spence into Manchester United in the summer, for example, the season starts, I think Delot starts. The Carabao Cup, the Europa League, Spence starts. And by November, Spence has hopefully found his feet and then maybe starts to compete for the first team spot. Whereas if Garner's going to be the midfielder, you're throwing him straight in at the deep end. But I will answer the question that a couple of people have asked. What do you think about the loanees? So Chong, Chong could go. I wouldn't even include Chong in the 11 players that are leaving the club. We could get 10 million for Chong. It's a good conversation, because when you're trying to raise money to add to the 125 million, 10 million makes it 135 million. 15 million makes it 140 million. So Chong could easily go for 10 million. Easily. Maybe not 15, but certainly 10. And maybe he needs to go. So, there's a bit of money there. Ethan Laird, put him on loan again. Garner, I'm 50-50 on Garner. I think if Forest come up, I'd give him a loan at the Premier League with them, because he's been there for a year and a half. He knows the team, he knows the club, and you may as well just give him a year in the Premier League, because I think it will benefit him more than being on the bench for United. But, that's 50-50. We're not going to sell Garner. So Laird, Garner, Chong, bit of money for Chong maybe. Laird I'd loan, Garner I'd loan again. Of course, we need to loan some of the younger players that we've got. I'd imagine Charlie Savage, now that he's signed a new contract, he would go on loan. Maybe Hugill, maybe Charlie McNeil. Maybe those players should be looking to go on loan. Maybe even a Hannibal Mabry. Maybe not. Maybe he gets to be part of the first team setup. Garnacho, maybe you loan him, maybe not. Ahmad, I don't know what we're going to do with Ahmad and Palestri, to be honest with you. I was quite excited by the signings, but ultimately, neither loan. They've been here for a year, coming up for 2 years. They've been here now, and what have we done with them? So we need to find out what we're doing with them quite quickly. FIFA Crazy, I know you like Spence, Mark, but I think we need to give Laird a chance. Had a decent season, been promoted to the Premier League, could be the next James or Trent. Yeah, I've got no problem with that, FIFA Crazy. I haven't. I'll be absolutely honest, I haven't seen a lot of Laird. I know he was at Swansea and then he was at Bournemouth, but I've never really watched him enough to know what I think. I certainly think Spence is better than him this season. He'd be the best right back in the Championship, but you might be on something there. Barcelona Dest and River Plate Fernandez be interesting players to bring in. We'll keep your eye on Enzo Fernandez. We are in for him, Leo. We are in for Enzo Fernandez of River Plate. He's a midfielder. Very interesting option. We know we're going to get 2 midfielders. I mean, would you be excited by that? Enzo Fernandez and De Jong. I'd be over the moon. It costs 20 million euros. You get 2 midfielders in. I'd love a signing like that. I don't need a glamour signing. I don't need a Neves. I don't need a Declan Rice. I just need the club to be clever and confident. And if they feel that this Enzo Fernandez at River Plate's worth going for, and apparently Man City, Madrid and Benfica are looking at him, go and get him. Very good money. If we can bring in De Ligt, De Jong and Timber, we will finish above Liverpool, says Woke. We're not going to get De Ligt. It's funny how you can give your opinion and the media makes a news saying United is linked to them. Tash, I don't think my opinion leads to news, to be honest. The Gonch, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I mean, there are other loanees. There are people like Levitt. There are... Bernard's done well, you know. There's a centre-back. I don't know what... I'll tell you what, Mengi's a player I haven't really heard a lot about this season. You know what? I start the season... The youth team I don't really take much notice of because I'm like, until they play senior football, it's very difficult to know whether a youth player can be good enough. But loanees... I take more interest in than the youth team because they actually are playing senior football. When you look at someone like Jude Bellingham, who at 16 was playing 30 games in the midfield of Birmingham City in the Championship at 16, you go, oh my God. So Garner at Forest, Laird at Bournemouth and Swansea, Chong at Birmingham, what they've done in their own way is impressive. And they're doing it in men's football in a very competitive league. So... but I'll be honest, I haven't really kept an eye on what Mengi's been doing. I know Bernard's done well at centre-back as well. I think there's been good reports on Levitt as well. But obviously they're not all going to be given a chance. But if the good thing is, maybe with Levitt, he's had a good loan. Somebody pays us 5 million for him. You know, it's still money. I think the likes of Bay, Jones, Pereira, Palestri, Chong, Williams, Ahmad can help us raise 60 million, says Mojo. Look, Ahmad's gone to Rangers. He's not played in the first team. You'd have thought when Ahmad went to Rangers, the concern was he's better than that. Well, he's not. So, and there's no doubt that Ahmad's an exciting player. Like, they loved him at Atalanta. So, I don't know with Ahmad. We could sell him or we could try and do something with him. But we've got the right manager for it. If Rashford's form is still bad next season, what do you do? Do we need a winger? Can we depend on Ahmad, Palestri and Chong? Well, I've already said, Mr. Dark, that... ultimately, if we bought Anthony, I'd be really excited. Now, I don't know whether we're going to do it, but if we bought Anthony, that means Sancho and Anthony are our wingers. We're going to get more creativity from our wingers than we are with Rashford based on the last season. So, but I do think Rashford will be given an opportunity, yeah. Twan Sebi, sell him. Yeah, I mean, for me, Twan... You know when you know there's a moment in a player's career where you go, that was the chance. If you're ever going to make it at United, that was the chance. And you can pinpoint it. I remember Paddy McNair. He's now playing for Sunderland. He played in a game for United. I think De Gea was man of the match. I think we won or we drew at Old Trafford. I think it was under Van Gaal. Well, it was. Paddy McNair was playing at centre-back. He played well. De Gea was superb. And there was this thought about Paddy McNair that he might end up being a future United centre-back and he'd come through the youth setup. I think we played Southampton away. For some reason, I think it's Southampton. He was at right-back and he got subbed off by Van Gaal after half an hour. And you thought at the time, that's it. That's it. His career at United is over. Whatever happens, that's the moment. And it was. Mark Smith, welcome to the Members Club. And I think with Twan Sebi, you can pinpoint it as well. He played brilliantly in Paris on the right-hand side of our defence where Neymar and Mbappe were. And he was man of the match. He was brilliant. And then Ollie never, ever, ever really gave him a chance again. And that was it. I often think with Twan Sebi, if he'd have been given a run of games after that PSG game and he'd stuck with him, he might have had a different career. And I think that's it. So I would sell Twan Sebi because he's not been able to get a place at Villa, and he's not been able to get a place at Napoli. So I would sell him. I don't think he's going to work out at United, and he's approaching his mid-20s now. So you might get 5-10 million for him as well. So we would see. I mean, some people don't agree with me on that, but I think with Axel Twan Sebi, I had a lot of high hopes for him, but ultimately, you can't waste players' careers between 20 and 24. They're so important. They've got to be playing football. And I had high hopes for him as well, Dougie, but I think we wasted a talent there. Keep the questions coming in because it is Friday night, so we've had some good topics tonight. Mark Smith, welcome to the Members Club. But I just wanted to run through... He plays for Middlesbrough, Liam Parker, sorry. I knew it was one of the clubs up top. Look, you know what? What I will say, though, is if Tahith Chong or Axel Twan Sebi come back to United and Erik ten Hag turns them into superstars, why would you not be ecstatic at that? I'd love it. But realistically, I don't think it will happen. I really don't. Somebody just said mid-20s, that's fine. But you're not listening to me, are you? There's nothing wrong with being 25, but if you've not established yourself as a first-team footballer and you're approaching 25, you're not going to be a Man United player. You're not going to be a Man United player if you've not established yourself anywhere and you're approaching your mid-20s. Like that, it's so important. And this is where Rashford and Martial have been let down in a way. The development of those players between 20 and 25 has been shocking because of the lack of proper coaching at the club. Anyway, I just want to read you this. I think it's really important. So Steve McLaren, do you see any free agents coming in the summer? Says Ian. I think the only free agent we'll look at is Eriksen if possible, but I think maybe Brentford will win that. So Steve McLaren did an interview on Talk Sport a couple of months ago after the Manchester derby. And I thought, I listened to it today and I thought, really interesting here because he didn't know he was going to be a Man United coach then. In fact, he probably never thought he'd be back at Man United. So he spoke freely after the Manchester derby. And it's very interesting because now he's going to be coaching these players with Erik ten Hag. Is he going to be a hypocrite or is he going to stand by what he said? So listen to this. But first of all, do you think Ten Hag will help Rashford actually become a winger? Sometimes he plays like a striker, says Stephen Ross. He might turn him into a striker, Stephen. I hope he can develop his game however he done it. This is for Shal, thank you very much. Welcome to Members Club. And James Cave, welcome to Members Club. Liam H, fans need to accept Erik ten Hag has to work with a lot of the current squad, whether he likes it or not. Any new signings will be adjustments, says Liam H. Exactly. Patience will be key. We're all going to be tested on that. So Steve McLaren spoke about Manchester United and basically said in the second half in the Manchester derby a couple of months ago, Erik ten Hag changed it Pep Guardiola changed it and Manchester United couldn't match Pep's tactics. There's big problems in that dressing room. The bad ones need to be taken out of the club. They need to get the right manager in and the right manager must be trusted. He referenced Pochettino and his experience, but he also said about Ten Hag, he knows the game unbelievably well. He said the Manchester United players clearly don't fight for each other. Subs came on and offered nothing, Lingard and Rashford. They've not got the right people at the top of that club. That's all direct quotes from Steve McLaren's interview 2 months, where he basically said there's big problems in that dressing room. The bad ones need kicking out of the club. Players came on the pitch and they didn't fight for each other. Subs came on the pitch and offered nothing, and not the right people are at the top of that football club. So, Manchester United, that is one of your new coaches who 2 months ago basically said there's poison in that dressing room. They don't fight for each other. There's not the right people at the top. And the players stopped running for each other. He's one of our new coaches. Now, to me, We had Paul Ince this morning who said he's a good guy and he's a good coach. I hope he's true to his word, because he said those words 2 months ago. He needs to go into that club and stand by those words. He needs to be part of the conversation with Ten Hag to say, I watched that game in the Manchester derby. Such and such and such just came on and didn't run. I watched that game. Those players didn't fight. I watched that game and there's some of these players that are bad, getting them out of the club. Or is he going to come in and go, oh, everyone's got a second chance like me? So, you know, McLaren's under the microscope as well. He said some very good things 2 months ago. I hope he's going to follow through. If you could give a team a player on loan, who you send to Southampton, who develop players, says Ray Cowley. Ghana. Mark, to my understanding of football, the change of coaches affects Rashford's development, even Martial, says Malansky. So yeah, look, get some of your questions in. That's the things I wanted to talk about. But yeah, some really good comments from Steve McLaren there that I think have gone under the radar and were very recent. And most of the things he's saying is what we've been saying. Of course, Ralf Rangnick knows all this. So Erik ten Hag's going to have Steve McLaren telling him, he's going to have Ralf Rangnick telling him, and he's going to have his own observations telling him. And I can't wait to see how we play on Sunday, because I tell you what, you might get to see firsthand United fans singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt" at the players again if they put in a performance anywhere near like they did against Brighton. Please do smash a like on the video, by the way, and make sure you subscribe. Bottom right hand corner, we're really close to 341,000, and more importantly, we're going to be live a lot this summer reacting to transfer news and stories. We react live most of the time, so make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and get involved with the community. Bottom right hand corner to subscribe, and please smash a like on the video. Also, can I just say welcome to all our new members. I'm actually going to gift out 10 now. If you are a member, you get your little badge next to your name, which changes each month in colour, depending on how many months you've been a member. But more importantly, you get exclusive content, extra content each week. Today we did a video that's just gone up for the members, which is Timber compared to Torres, compared to Varane, compared to Maguire. Looking at passing success forward, how many per game, how many times they carry the ball, how successful they are in the air, successful defensive actions, offensive duels, defensive duels, all key things that you're looking at in relation to a centre-back, age, speed, all that sort of thing. So check it out. Check it out. Right, people are saying please, please, please. It's done at random. So I'm going to gift 10. But it does do it randomly. So, you know, if you get one, you get one. If you don't, you don't. Let me just do it for you. Our little Friday night treat, if it ever bloody loads up. Okay. So, yeah, we've got 10 just about to be gifted. Salah says, do you believe that Erik ten Hag already knows who in the dressing room he can trust and help him change the changes that are needed to become successful? Says Salah Ahmed. I think that in relation to trust, I would trust nobody. There's no reason to trust Ronaldo. There's no reason to trust Maguire. There's no reason to trust McTominay. There's no reason to trust Bruno. The reality is these players are going to be nice and smiley because it's their job, and it's their job on the line. If I'm Erik ten Hag, I'm listening to the stories of Rangnick. I'm listening to the stories of McLaren. I'm listening to the general stories from what the fans have said and what the media have said, and I know that that team's a load of shite. All I'm going to do is trust the coaching team that I put around me, and these players have got to impress me, and they'll impress me by doing what I ask them to do in training, not what they say on a one-on-one meeting. So I think the best thing is that if you're the manager of the club, they've got to earn your trust. What do you make of Enzo Fernandez at River Plate for 17 million? I quite like the idea of one or two cheap players we've never heard of, says James. Look, I think he looks like a really good player. I'd love United to go and buy a player like that. I think Ralf Rangnick suggested Alvarez. I wouldn't be surprised if he suggested Enzo Fernandez. If the club do it, I'd be very excited about it, because ultimately, who's to say he's not better than Calvin Phillips? Who's to say he's not better than any other holding midfielder that we're looking at? And as you said, his price tag is very good. United Stand's just gifted 10 United Stand memberships. Great. If you got one, welcome to the club. Call me cynical. McLaren was speaking for Erik ten Hag, says Liam H. Probably not 2 months ago. Sean Finity, you're a legend. He's just gifted 5 United Stand memberships. So 20 of you have got memberships today. Enjoy it. Make sure you check out the exclusive content. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Brendan Patterson with a super chat says, I agree we need to clear the deadwood out, but I feel we need to be careful of leaving ourselves short on squad depth and wary of the risk of first team players picking up more injuries due to Erik ten Hag's more intense play style, says Brandon. Yes, exactly. Welcome to the Members Club, Devon and Toby. Thank you very much for joining. You're absolutely spot on, Brandon. This is why the 11 players, if you've tuned in late, there are 11 players up for sale or leaving. Henderson, Williams, Wan-Bissaka, Jones, Bailly, Matic, Pogba, Mata, Cavani, Martial, Lingard. We won't do anything more than that. Maybe Pereira will go. He's not really part of the first team squad anyway. Maybe a Chong or a Twansebi will be sold. They've not been part of the first team squad anyway. I mean, Brandon Williams hasn't been part of the first team squad. So effectively 10 players from the first team squad will go with some peripheral players who've been on loan. 10 players go, 5 players come in. Your squad gets trimmed by 5, but you can supplement that with some young players like Hannibal Mabry, Garnacho. Plus the squad was always very heavy anyway. So getting rid of 10 players and bringing 4 or 5 in is actually good for the squad. You trim the wage bill, which I don't really care about, but you also trim the squad. It was a very fat deadwood squad anyway. So yeah, we need to do it. Do you think Scott McTominay is a sellable asset? If so, would we sell him? I would love to see the back of him because I can't really see him ever improving. So, says this is for Shell. I don't think Scott McTominay will be sold. I think he will still be valued by Ten Hag. Rangnick liked him. Mourinho liked him. Oli liked him. He's a player with a good attitude. He's a player who really cares about the club. Unfortunately for McTominay, he's just not good enough based on the last 4 or 5 years. He's not good enough. But he's probably good enough to be on the bench, and I imagine that will be his future for the next 3 or 4 years at the club. And then at some point, I think he'll probably go to a Norwich or an Everton or something like that. But I think for the next 2 or 3 years, he'll be at the club. And look, who's to say he might suddenly become brilliant and be a first-team player. But I think he's got a role at the club. I think he gets what the club's all about. I just don't think he's got the quality. Or he's not portrayed that quality. But what I've always said about McTominay, in fairness, is he's not a holding midfielder. He's a player being played out of position. His best position, McTominay's good work is when he gets to the edge of the box in an attacking sense. His bad work is when he gets to the edge of the box in a defensive sense. He's good in the air, but he's not a holding midfielder. But I think he'll be a valid squad member, and I think Fred will be. They're certainly not going to go anywhere this summer. Do I think anybody would buy McTominay? Yeah, I do. I think we'd get 20 million for him easily. I do think there would be some clubs that would buy him. Would a right back head-to-head video be considered, says Leo J? Yes, we will consider it. But remember, you the members vote for those videos. It goes out on a Wednesday, and then the vote happens. Then on a Friday, we put it out as a video. Omar, thank you very much for being a member. It will be interesting to see how much we regroup from Wan-Bissaka, considering we spent 50 million on him, says Jamie. Welcome to the Members Club, Vish. You know what, Jamie? I was thinking exactly the same thing today, and we're deep enough in the video where we can have these sort of conversations. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. We're really close to 2,000. And please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, really important. We, if you do subscribe, click the bell to get all your notifications on, because we will be going live a lot this summer at all sorts of times, and I wouldn't want you to miss the chat and reaction when we do. So bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. But no, going back to what was said there by Jamie, was it? That I think it's really interesting. That's for the Friday Night Faithful, says Sean Finity. There you go, legend of the chat. Welcome to Adam Neal. As well, who's a new member. I don't know what people think about the old off topic, but what's the 500 for? Over your shoulder? Was it for 500? Was it for subscribers? If so, get Drati to update it. Yeah, it was for 500,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's been there a long time actually. We do need to update it. We need to update a few things there. I want to change the Beckham one to Proctor. If you know, you know. But you know what? I think with Wan-Bissaka, Maguire gets most of the criticism because he's the captain, he cost £80 million, and I think we all know he's better than he is, and he's been really bad. But Wan-Bissaka cost 50 million quid. We scouted, United put it out there. It's one of the stupidest spin stories they've ever put out. We went and looked at hundreds of right backs before we decided to spend £50 million on Wan-Bissaka. And somebody always said it, it's like searching for a wife and you know, dating loads and loads and loads of beautiful people and then deciding to marry your cousin. It's embarrassing what United put out there about Wan-Bissaka. Not because I like Wan-Bissaka, by the way. I still think he's a good right back. Whether he's a top 4th right back, probably not. But I do think Wan-Bissaka at an Everton or a Crystal Palace or even, you know, a mid-table club, I think he's a very good right back. And I do think it's just gone wrong for a number of reasons. And I actually thought he might sort it out this season, but he didn't. And ultimately, you know, when it's raining, you've got to accept it's raining. And I think with Wan-Bissaka, it's just not worked out. And it's best for him and the club and everybody else if you part ways. There's no need to be toxic about it. Dan James didn't work out. All the best. If Wan-Bissaka goes somewhere else, I wish him all the best. I think people... Too much in football is about almost hate and like. If it doesn't work out, there's no need to think badly of him. The people I think badly of is the people who spent 50 million on him. He never should have been bought for 50 million. Harry Maguire never should have been bought for 80 million pounds, but it's not their fault. They didn't stand up and say, "No, don't spend 50 million pounds on me. I'm not worth it." You know, you're making a lot of money for the club. That's, you know, if I was Harry Maguire and I was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I'd be really proud when I left Palace and Leicester that they made a lot of money out of you, having helped develop you. So United were the fools for paying that sort of money, but. Going back to the question, and I suppose it's the same, well, Maguire's not going to go anywhere, so it doesn't matter. But how much are we going to recoup from Aaron Wan-Bissaka? The Doom, thank you very much for becoming a member, and Dean Ward as well. How do we improve our attractiveness for future transfers? We lost the United factor, or did we? We haven't lost it, Adam. We haven't lost it. We've lost the ability to bring Erling Haaland to the club. We've lost the ability to bring a Declan Rice to the club if Chelsea want him. But we've lost the ability to bring an Mbappe to the club. We've lost the ability to bring a prime Pogba to the club. But that's because we're not a Champions League club and we don't fight for titles. We have not lost the ability to bring an Nkunku, a Darwin Núñez, a Ruben Neves. We haven't. We're Manchester United. Everybody knows what Manchester United can do for your career. So we can still do it. We just can't bring the top echelon players to the club because we're not a top club ourselves on the pitch. So we'll still be fine. Lucas, welcome to the Members Club. In relation to Wan-Bissaka, I personally think he'll go on loan. But if I'm honest, if somebody offered 20, 25 million, I would take 20, 25 million. Could we get somebody to do that? Yes. Yeah, I do. I do think we can do it, yeah. But I think he'll end up going on loan with an obligation to buy. And I think if he went on loan to Crystal Palace, he'd be a good right back for Crystal Palace. And I think Crystal Palace would say in a year's time, there's 20, 25 million. So I think that needs to be the plan. I think with Wan-Bissaka, we may well have to do a try before we buy, if I'm absolutely honest. And I think that might be better for everybody, if I'm honest with you. Just a bit of an update on Anthony coming from Mike Verway. He says that Ajax's position regarding Anthony is that they prefer to keep him this summer, though they realise that Anthony's agency are making it clear to clubs they are willing to make a move. That's really interesting because I was told that at the start of the week. It's amazing how stories can spin around, isn't it? That... It's amazing how stories spin around, and sometimes you've just got to stick to your guns. At the start of the week, I can't remember what day it was was probably Monday or Tuesday. I said that I'd spoken to somebody who'd basically said that we were in advanced talks with Ajax now. I know there was stories about Timber agreeing to come to United, but we were in advanced talks with Ajax about a fee. And that same person told me that Man United and Anthony... There's nothing going on with that because Ajax want to keep him. Then for the next 2 or 3 days, we've heard that Anthony is going to leave. But then we've heard from Mike Verway again that Ajax don't want to sell him, but they're aware that Anthony and his agent are trying to get a move, which is a very different thing. So I'm not convinced Anthony's going to come to Manchester United, whether we want him or not. Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, football answer to the Emperor's New Clothes. Do you think the last 10 years United history affects attracting new younger players? Núñez was 12-ish when we last won the league, or was relevant, says Michael Neal. What United need to do, and I think what Michael's hit on really well there, is what United need to do is become attractive to the Adeyemi's and the Jude Bellinghams of this world. Adeyemi we tried to get late and he wanted to go to Dortmund. Bellingham, we brought him to Carrington to meet Sir Alex Ferguson and he still chose Dortmund. We need to become a club that players, and Rangnick was talking about this today, and I heard somebody ridicule him about it, saying, oh, Rangnick doesn't understand what United's all about. We're not a development club and sell players. But he corrected himself on that and he said, look at what I did at Leipzig. You bring these players in, they come up a level, you develop them and then you sell them. And then he said, but I know United's not about selling players, but it's about bringing in the players that you develop and take to that next level. We can't do that. Jude Bellingham didn't want to come to Man United because he felt that Dortmund was the better place to go to develop himself, and he was absolutely correct. With Rangnick and Ten Hag, we've got to change that. We've got to become this club where if you come to this club as a young player, we will develop you. Because if you look at the last 3 years and you look at Rashford and Martial and McTominay and everybody else, they've not developed. We need to become a club that develops players. And I think that will be one of the things that Ten Hag absolutely wants to do, because you can get good players if you are a club that's got that reputation, and we don't have that reputation at the moment. Cheers from Prague, just joined, so sorry if you've already discussed it. Any chance we'd sell Maguire this summer, says Philip? No, I don't think so, Philip. I really don't. Not when we're selling 10 or 11 players already. We knew that 10 players were leaving ages ago, says Ozzy Montana. Did you? I've always said 10. We've always discussed 10 on this channel, but I've never heard anybody credible say we're selling 10 players. I think sometimes people get confused with what we talk about on a daily basis and think it's established in the media. It's not. No media outlet has said we're selling 10 players and named them. We've been talking about it for a while, and obviously it's going to happen. Anyway, I will be back in the morning with a morning show at 10 a.m. and I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. I always love the Friday night. It's vibrant, it's chatty, we go into different angles. I love it. I love the community. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. Please smash a like on the video, and as I said, make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And remember, if you want to watch the Timber, Torres, Maguire, Varane comparison video and you're a member, it's now been loaded up. It's on the homepage in the members section. If you want to become a member, click the join button. Welcome to our new members. If you got gifted one, well done. Jack says, De Gea, Delo, Varane, Timbershaw, De Jong, Lema, Bruno, Nkunku, Ronaldo, Sancho. Do it, United. There you go. And don't forget to play Spitch. You can hold up your camera on your phone and scan the QR code. This Sunday, you start with 0 points. Premier League, pick your team. It's going to be an amazing final day. Everyone's kicking off at the same time. You can play me in the United Stand community. The link's in the description. See if you can beat me with the team that you put together. You've got to be over 18. Terms and conditions apply. Links in the video description, or scan your code. It just adds to the excitement on Sunday, which is going to be exciting. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks, everyone. Take care and have a good day, evening, morning, whatever you're doing. Speak to you in a bit.